Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stampin' Up with Jaimie. Thank you for joining me. If you're catching this on replay, either on my YouTube channel or on Facebook or even on my blog, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, or you can email me as well. Let me just make sure I'm live here in the right spot and I can follow along on comments. If you hop on and you're live, just give me a quick shout out so I know I'm good to go. Let's see here. There we go. Hi ladies, good evening. Hi Amy, thank you so much. Hi Linda, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. Hello from Virginia. And Teresa, are you having nice weather in Virginia still, Linda? I bet you are. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. Tonight's card is all about the layers and the shine that we get from copper tones. I don't usually make busy cards, busy with a lot going on. I tend to kind of swing towards the more simple side, simple stamping, kind of keeping things minimal. Oh, cool, with a little rain. So are we actually right now. How funny is that? Hi, Michelle. But I saw a card that someone made on Pinterest and they embossed copper on this early espresso and it really inspired me. And I kind of just used that as my starting point and kind of went from there. Hi, Tina. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll kind of walk you through my card. Again, I tend to keep things a little more on the simpler side, but I just couldn't help myself tonight. So I hope you don't mind all the layering and kind of funness, if that's a word, that's going on here. My colors that I'm kind of using are Early Espresso, Crumb Cake, Cajun Craze, and Copper. Copper is that nice, warm, kind of metallic shade that we're getting in my card. And we're just going to dive in and I'll walk you through as we go along. My card starts off with Cajun Craze as its card base. That would be 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Hi, Heather from Arizona. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. So this is our Cajun Craze. Next, we're going to take a panel of Whisper White cardstock. I don't even know what this measures. 4 by 5 1/8. Did I not cut that right? Hold on. No, I didn't cut that right. Hold on. I knew that didn't sound right. The second I saw it, I'm like, that's not right. Hold on. I just got to trim that a bit more. So it is, let's see here. Does that work? Let's see here. That works. Okay, so my Whisper White is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then the copper here is 4 by 5 1/4. And they just get overlapped over one another. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you liked the card. Now, here's the thing. The copper foil sheets come 12 by 12 and you get 2 in a pack. They're, I believe, $4, although watch me be wrong. So you don't get too much. And if you look at this and you think, oh my goodness, you're wasting so much of it, you can do a couple things. You could cut out sort of like a window here and use that as like a scrap piece. I am cutting out like a copper leaf here, and so you could take that die and cut it a whole bunch out of the inside of this and then layer it over and no one would even know about it. I do that a lot when I'm scrapbooking. If I'm doing a big mat, I don't want to waste the inside, so I kind of just cut out the inside and use it as for other projects. So if you're hesitant to use that much copper, I would suggest just kind of cutting out the belly of it a little bit and using it for a different project. So what we're going to do is create a circle, and I'm just going to pencil it in. And I'm actually using the size of our ribbon spool here. And I'm kind of aiming a little high. And I'm going to just trace it on my card. I need something to kind of help me with the circle. I want to be kind of precise, although it doesn't have to be perfect. but I do want to kind of get as close to a circle as I can get. Now, what I'm going to use to make my wreath is this wheat. And what I'm going to do, it's a photopolymer stamp set. And what I'm going to do is kind of maneuver. So when I put it straight on my block, it looks something like that. It's kind of on the straight side. I don't know, is it better to have my hand behind or not? I don't know. And then all I'm going to do is kind of maneuver it. Oop. Kind of like hold it still on one side and kind of give it a little bit of a kink in it to give it a curve. And it should sort of match the curve that is on my wreath. And just play with it a little bit until you kind of see like, oh, that's a good kind of round edge to it, or oh, I need to kink it a little bit more. And that looks about right. So it's not major, and all you do is kind of bend it. It's kind of like a rubbery material, so it's very pliable, and just maneuver it to the kind of curve that you're looking for. Now I'm going to take my crumb cake ink and I'm going to stamp my wheat here around the entire thing. Now, I'm not exactly sure about the spacing. I have an idea of how to space it. However, I'm going to start and end in this corner because if you look on my card, it's covered very nicely. And so if the spacing is off a little bit, you won't notice it. Whereas if I start and end up here and my spacing isn't right, you're going to see it. But I'm going to start kind of down here in this bottom left-hand corner and then go around. And like I said, if I'm a little off, it's not that big of a deal. I think I'm going to keep my ink over there. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to follow my line that I just drew. And I'm going to do sort of a tight overlap. Can you see? No, you can't see. A tight overlap stamping. I'm doing a little bit of overlapping. But obviously the tail of my stamp here is going to overlap a little bit. And that's okay. All the way around. Now, when you're done, I noticed in some spots on the card that I made, you could still see the pencil lines. Whoops. So just come back with your eraser from your pencil and you can just erase those right off and no one sees those lines. So you're going to work your way all the way around. Again, this is the crumb cake ink. I'm kind of going with more neutral tones here, kind of keeping it earthy. I was really, again, inspired by that copper embossed on the early espresso. I thought that was really, really pretty. So you can see over here, my overlapping's a little tighter than maybe over here. You know, it's artistic. That's what we say when, you know, maybe it doesn't come out perfect. It's artistic. Hello, Heather. Hello. Thank you for joining me so much. I really appreciate it. Now, in the same stamp set of, I don't know if I said it, but it's the Gather Together stamp set. We kind of have this like sprinkle. That's what I'm going to call it. I don't know how else to say it, but it's kind of a sprinkle. I initially kind of thought about leaving my wreath just with the wheat, and I really do like it with the wheat. Honest to goodness, I think that alone would just be fine. However, I wanted to add just a little bit of extra detail and bring in another color. I didn't want to make another color too predominant in the card. So I like the Cajun Craze because it's very earthy. It's a warm tone. So it is another color on the card, but it's still kind of keeping in line with the more earthy tones. So if you look at your stamp here, it's kind of a triangle, which means you can kind of maneuver it so it wedges and kind of puzzles together, puzzle pieces together. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's a circle. It's not like it's a, something like that. So I'm actually just going to kind of go back and forth, rotating the stamp all the way around. Don't put your pinky in it like I just did though. I was working on another card right before I went live. And I don't know how I got a black smudge on it. I couldn't believe it. So just be careful with your fingers and what you pick up, like I just did. I'm just going all the way around. Keep in mind with our new stamp pads as well that they will stamp a little darker as the color dries, it will lighten up a little bit. And I think I'm not going to try and fill that little space there because that's going to be covered, so I don't have to worry about that little gap. Good evening. Hello, hello. Okay, so that's my wreath. I think that's really pretty. It's definitely different than maybe something I would normally create. I don't know, but it's fun to try new things and kind of do things a little different than you normally would. Before we start layering up things here, I'm going to go ahead and do the sentiment here below. I have to tell you that this little guy here was a complete afterthought. I initially had the sentiment stamped on a little piece of Cajun Craze cardstock, and it was right here. And it was blocking some of my ribbon here, and I don't know, it just seemed too chunky for the card. And so I ripped it off, and as I pulled it off, because it was glued down with a dimensional, it ripped the paper a little bit. So to cover my little oops, I placed this metallic eye down. I don't know if I would have placed him here otherwise. I probably would have tucked him in a corner somewhere, but that was kind of my thought process. And so I decided to put the sentiment down here, kind of tucked away, keep them just straight on the white, on the Whisper White card. I thought it was more, I don't know, I liked it down there a little better. So again, the sentiment comes from that same stamp set, the Wishing You Well. Just a great sentiment. You can use it for so many different occasions, which I'm always looking for. And I'm going to stamp it in Cajun Craze. Again, keeping kind of with my same color scheme that I'm going with. And hopefully that's straight. And it is. Yay. I love when things work the way they're supposed to. Hi, Amy. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to set that aside and we're going to work on all this really fun layering. I think that's kind of what sets this card apart, is that there's lots of layering, lots of interest for the eye. And when you're holding it, and depending on how the light hits it, you get this very kind of fun glimmer and shimmer off the copper. So first we're going to do that big leaf. Now the big leaf again comes from the Gather Together stamp set. And I just realized I didn't block him up. So let me just grab a block here. Oh goodness. Of course the blocks are behind my camera. So I have to like reach around and they all fall. Okay, so let's block him up. And we are going to heat emboss him on Early Espresso cardstock in copper. So let me just open up here, get all set and situated so I'm ready to go. You're definitely going to want to use the embossing buddy for this because the cardstock is really dark, almost like a black, but it's not, it's brown. But you're definitely going to want to not want any extra little dots of powder on that. So ink him up in Versamark ink, stamp down, cover your ink pad. Beautiful. And then generously sprinkle with the copper embossing powder. Tap off any extra. Cover your embossing powder. Don't start heating until the powder has been covered, or else it'll go everywhere. And I speak from experience. Okay, let me just... Okay, we're going to heat this up to get it from that powder form to a nice shiny. Takes a second to heat up before something goes flying on my... Hold on. I don't know what that is. That just went flying on my card. Hold on. I gotta do surgery. I don't want it to stick. Or did it already stick? I have no clue what that is. Okay, we're just going to continue and see if I can get it off after. So you're going to heat it until it goes to a nice shine. The powder melts. It becomes nice and glossy. Don't overheat, but you do want to make sure it's all heated through. Give it a second. We are going to use a die to cut this out, but give it a second because it does need a set. One time I ran it through too fast and it smeared all over the place. So just give it a second. We're going to cut it out with the coordinating dies that go with the Gather Together stamp set. They're the Gathered Leaves dies. I've used them before. This is the guy that we're using here. It comes with a couple of leaves, a pumpkin, and then a couple of the double pumpkins. This coordinates with that stamp set. And I will say, I already did it, so let me show you what I did. We are going to need a crumb cake leaf, and I already did that. I used this guy here. So you run them through your die cutting machine, and he cuts as well as embosses. I love these leaves. If nothing else, the dies are worth getting because of the sleeves, because you get so much great texture on them, and it's one step. It embosses and cuts at the same time. So I already did that ahead of time. Just want to show you that. And then this is the die I'm going to be using to cut out. Now keep in mind that our new dies, when you are lining them up, you're going to get a tight fit. When you cut it out, you're going to have a nice little like line around it. But as you're lining it up, it's going to be tight. Okay, so I'm just going to off screen here quickly do that. Hopefully I can line it up and run it through. Now, I also want to mention that next week I will not be on live. The following day, next Thursday, I leave for a scrapbooking retreat, and so all of my stuff will be packed up. Actually, I've already started packing up, so I won't be live next week, just so you know. I'll be here the following week. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? I don't know. There's something very pretty about the copper on the dark cardstock. It caught my eye, and I loved it, so we went with it. And I also want to say, if you're working on a card that has lots of layers, maybe something like this, what I would suggest doing, and this is what I usually do, because when you're working with layers, you're kind of figuring it out as you go. You may not have exactly your game plan from the start, and you're kind of playing with it, right? You're like layering things up, like, do I like it like that, or do I like it like that? When you are done, maybe everything isn't glued down. What I do is I take my phone and I take a picture of it before it's all glued down, but I know I have it where I want it and how I have it situated. And I take a picture of it, and then I take everything off and start layering them up and gluing them down. That way you can bring up the picture on your phone and follow along and remember exactly how you had everything placed down and situated. So I find that works. Did I not do that straight? I didn't do that straight. I find that works best for me, especially when I'm layering. Oh, come off easily. Another tip is if you adhere down and it's not straight, don't pull up, pull to the side. If you pull up, you will curve your cardstock, and you don't want that. Okay, that's better. Sorry, I just had to fix that. That would bother me. So I just adhered. Oh, hold on. I adhered the Whisper White onto that piece of copper, and I'm going to use the tear and tape to glue the copper down. I find that my snail doesn't like sticking to the copper, to the foil sheets. So I need something a little bit, see, I tried here. Do you see I tried to roll that and it just didn't come out? So I'm going to use tear and tape to glue it down. So I'm at the end. That's very exciting because I've bought a refill for a while, and it's like the Energizer Bunny. It just never runs out. Oops. So pull this off. Oh my goodness, why isn't this working? Come on. There we go. There we go. This stuff is great. It holds down anything. It's super, super permanent. Pull that off. One more. It wants to peel the whole thing off, and I just want the top part. There we go. Okay. Oh, don't glue it down the wrong side up. That would be bad. Okay. So there we go. Now we're just going to start building. This is just kind of starting from down and working our way up. We're first going to start with that crumb cake leaf that I already cut out ahead of time for us. And he's actually going to kind of sort of go in the middle of my wreath. It looks kind of silly, like he's just kind of all alone there in the middle of the card, but that's where he belongs. He doesn't know it, but that's where he belongs. Next, I'm going to take that embossed leaf. I want him to be kind of this way, sideways, and I'm going to wind some Cajun Craze ribbon. This is part of a pack. So what I'm going to do is put some adhesive on this corner and that corner, opposite corner. So up here and down here, I have the adhesive. And this is where you can't think about it too much. You just have to wind it and don't overthink. So all I do is kind of tack the one side down on the adhesive, wrap it, and then tack it down again. Pull it to the other side, tack it down, wrap it, go to the other side, wrap it, and then that's it. And where are my scissors? I'll use these. Oops. And you get something like that. Wow, I think I made them a lot bigger than my original. That's okay. Every card's gonna come out ever so slightly different. Oh, maybe I did make them not that much different, that much bigger. Okay, but we're not gluing them down yet. That was just kind of phase one. Okay, so next I'm taking some copper ribbon. This is in the annual catalog. It is copper and it's got this great texture to it. That's the thing about this card is it has lots of texture. It is about 3 inches I cut it at. And what you can do with this ribbon is kind of pull it apart or stretch it, I guess is how I would say it. Hi, Lori. Good evening. No worries. Thank you for joining. And you can stretch it a lot. You can stretch it a little. I don't know. I'm stretching it a little, I guess. I'm not really pulling it that hard. But I kind of get this fun. And you can, if you don't like it, you just pull it and it'll shrink back up. And I want that there. So I'm going to put some, come on, adhesive down. Actually, I think I want a little higher. And I'm going to glue him like that. Next, I'm going to take some, okay, so this ribbon and what I do with it, the Cajun Craze, look at that, roll's almost done. These come in a pack. They're in the holiday catalog together. They come in a pack. So we already used this guy. Now we're going to use this one. And I'm going to cut him just to have another layer, another texture. Cut the end on an angle. This one is about, it's about 3 3/4. And all I'm going to do is put some adhesive on the back of that ribbon to glue it down. I may have to trim that. That one actually looks really long. We'll see. Maybe not. Okay, that's my next layer. Next, I used the In the Woods dies. And let's see here. I'll show you the die cut. The dies. They're beautiful. They're the ones that come with, came with, what's it called? Winter Woods, it looks like. Winter Woods from the last holiday catalog. And I use this die here. And I cut, hi Terry, no worries. Thank you for joining me. And I cut out a copper piece. And that's going to adhere right kind of over that. Should I use glue? I think I use adhesive, snail, but I think we're going to use glue because it's just a little bit more permanent. You don't want that guy, you don't want them falling off. And I kind of have it coming, kind of overlapping that ribbon that we just adhered down a little bit. Like so. Then we have our copper leaf here. That's kind of the last one. I may aim up, wait, this way. I'm like, that didn't look right. Hold on, I gotta fix this. These are too big for me. Hold on. So here's the thing, if you don't like it, you just pull it right off like I just did and start over. They're just too big. It's like, it's supposed to be a subtle detail, not take over the card detail. So let's try this again. If you don't like it, that's the beauty of it. You just rip it off. No harm done. I'm gonna try and wind it a little bit tighter so it's not quite. Before I trim it though, let's make sure I like it. Yeah, I do like that better. Okay, we'll give it a, I have no idea how big that was. I probably should have measured it. You know, I wind it right out of the spool and then when I'm done, I just trim it. So, okay, this guy is gonna go down with dimensionals. Which, did I pull dimensionals out? Oh dear. Oh, they're behind my, okay. We're going to get a new one. My dimensionals are behind my camera here, and there's no way I'm reaching for them, so we're just going to take out a new pack. Oh, there's nothing like a new pack of dimensionals look like that. It almost makes me a little sad. almost. Not enough not to pull them off. So I'm going to use 3. It's funny, I didn't do it here, but what I usually like to do is overlap my dimensionals over the ribbon because it kind of holds them down. Instead, let's see here, what do I have? Hold on. Oh, look at this, my new tear and tape. This is very exciting. I think I'm going to just put a little bit of tear and tape over my ribbon. I really don't want those things flying away. I'm not going to tear it off. I'm just going to kind of use it as tape. I'm not going to use it to adhere anything down, just to kind of hold those in place. I don't think I quite needed it as big as I ripped it. So what I usually do is when I place the dimensionals down, I put it over the ribbon a little bit. So that helps hold it down. But oops. But I didn't do that. Okay. So just going to peel off the dimensionals. Like so. Oops. One's sticking to me. And kind of place it. Hold on. What is that? Okay. Like that. Oh, that's so happy. That just makes me so happy. Okay, so like I said, when I did mine here, this little guy was a complete afterthought. It was to cover up an oops. Most embellishments are strategically placed to cover up oops. However, I do like him. It comes in this metallic, what is this called? Designer Elements, and it comes with copper, silver, and gold. So, but I don't think I want him here because he's kind of like out in no man's land. Maybe down there. I kind of want him right there. Okay, we're going to put him here. Oh, thanks, Michelle. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like it. I don't know. It's kind of a random detail, but I don't know. He got put on the card. Okay, so that's my card for tonight. Lots of layering, but simple layering. Honest to goodness, the ribbon does most of the work with some simple stamping and a nice kind of background wreath here that we made. So if you've happened to be watching and you have yet to leave a comment and you'd like the chance to win this card, you have a couple more minutes before I shut off here, and then I'm going to pick a name out of a hat for someone to win tonight's card. Just a reminder that I will not be on next week because I'll be getting ready for my scrapbooking retreat, which I'm so excited about. So I will see you in 2 weeks. I'll try and remember to put a Facebook post up as a reminder. But I won't be on next week. So I'll see everyone in 2 weeks. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.